Taking 3 days off the gym because I got the flu. Like, we're sick, we're going to the gym. Doesn't matter.
And isn't it funny, back then when you were sick you could still go to the gym? Now you think you might have been next to someone that may have been sick, perhaps their brother, uncle, sister, and you better quarantine for 10 days. Heavens forbid, sick. My oh my, how times have changed. Back then, nothing would have stopped me from going to the gym. Coach Greg, and rewinding the clock today, I'm going to be reacting to a show I was on. It's called The 40-Year-Old Bodybuilder, sponsored by Vice Media. It has over 4 million views. This was the last major cycle that I took, the biggest, leanest, best I've ever looked. I've been a pro for several years, was never able to crack the top 10, and so if I never made the top 10, that was it. I was done, ready to retire. I put all my eggs into this basket. I took as many PDs as I could, gave it my all, tried to look my all-time best, and that I did. But did I in fact crack the top 10? During this trip, I met Ali's parents for the first time. You want to see what Ali looked like? I looked like back then. Also competed with John Meadows and other famous IFBB pros. And so let's rewind back the clock, see what is bodybuilding all about.
Up the ranks and you're provincial champion, you're national champion. It's like, he's really good. But then when you get to the pinnacle of the sport, like as a professional, are you really good?
And so you have to think, growing up as a natural bodybuilder, I won almost every single show. I was really good at it. But once you turn pro, it gets hard. I could no longer win any competitions. And so you ask yourself, am I really any good? Was I just blowing smoke up my ass? Am I a good bodybuilder? Do I belong here? And so this show, I set out to prove that.
Why is he 40 years old and he's still in shape? I can't let that get in the way.
Also, I'm getting old. Father time is catching up. I'm in my 40s. Why am I still competing? I said, why am I still in shape? I meant to say, why am I still competing as a bodybuilder? Is it not time to hang up the trump?
I'm somebody that puts as much effort into trying to place in this show as everything. Like, if I don't get top 10, probably gonna retire from bodybuilding.
And so absolutely, I remember the mindset I had. I put every ounce of energy into prepping for this show. From the diet, the cardio, the training, everything had to be perfect. And as you can see, my face very gaunt, well below 5% body fat. This, the leanest, the most suffering I'd ever done.
I really don't know where the registration area is. Hey, Chris. Hey, this is my sponsor.
And as you can see, my voice sounds messed up. I'm having a hard time speaking. I'm dehydrated. My mouth is pasty. Going to weigh in. Ran into good friend and CEO of Advanced Genetics, Chris Johnson, who was in fact my sponsor back then.
I've just been eating like rice cakes, salted rice cakes, 4 bananas. That's been today.
And so what I'd done is I carb depleted followed by a carb load. I'm eating rice cakes and bananas, trying to weigh in, and after that, I carb load with a lot of salt, ketchups, burgers, fries, everything. Trying to eat, fill out, allow the muscles to absorb as much carbohydrates and water while not having any subcutaneous water. The net result, a lean, dry, vascular, and shredded physique. And most jealous of back then is looking at my triceps after 2 bike crashes. I had to surgically reattach my triceps. Triceps no longer look as good as they used to. Had massive triceps, all the bench pressing back in the day. And so looking back, really wish I had those triceps.
About to get tanned up for the show tomorrow.
And so everyone knows bodybuilders, they get a spray tan. You have to be extra black or else you won't look as lean, shredded on stage. We do so naked with the exception of wearing a sock, and guess where? Yeah, use your mind. And looking at my naked self from the rear, I could see just how much muscle I had on my lower back. A lot of striations, lines, a lot more massive of a back than I do have now. And so looking at my physique from the front, do you notice the gynecomastia? That is from abusing PDs. And so you can see I had gyno at the time, and I've literally had surgery on my left nipple. Not on the right, but on the left. So dating way back to when I first started using PDs, I could notice some gyno formation going on. One of the side effects of using PDs. And there's Ali to my left, long blonde hair. You can see her from the behind.
People telling you that you're 40, that you're too old, that you had the operations, you know, you can't get any bigger, you've been at it for so long.
And so trust me, there's a lot of haters, naysayers. The first time I competed, never made the top 10. People are, oh, you aren't so good. You're not good. They're hoping you do bad. You win the nationals, you've done well all along, and then people are rooting for you to fail. Rather than hoping you'll be successful, many people are actually hoping for you to fail. And so you use that as fuel motivation. When you don't want to do the cardio, when you feel hungry, when you don't want to lift an extra rep, you think, I'm going to prove those people wrong, and you go harder than last time.
Greg, nice to meet you.
Hey, Greg, how are you?
I'm looking forward to competing tomorrow.
Be here before we know it.
Can't wait. I just want to eat the biggest meal of my life and go to bed.
And I'd always heard about John Meadows, how great of a guy he was, and I'm meeting him here for the first time, and let me tell you, the guy looked absolutely incredible. He was 20 pounds of muscle, bigger than Coach Greg, and just as shredded. The guy had a ton of muscle, very humble, and very respectable guy. What a pleasure it was to share the stage with John Meadows.
195.3.
And I weighed at 195.3 pounds, and today, 195.2. However, not nearly as lean as this. This was me dehydrated with under 5% body fat. But remember, I'm getting old, and I'm only on HRT, and I'm doing a shit ton of cardio. About to do a bike race. And so although I look back and reflect and wish I could look like that, I know I can't do that, at least not without abusing PDs. And so I've since chosen my health. I'm doing doctor-prescribed HRT, doing cardio, and still training, enjoying what life has to offer. And look how lean Allie is. What you may not have known is Allie used to compete in powerlifting with me for about 5 years. She was training 5-6 days a week, lifting extremely heavy weights. When we first met, she was extremely skinny, had hardly any muscle, under 130 pounds. Used to call her Grasshopper. She looked like a grasshopper doing those sumo deadlifts. She then became a champion powerlifter with years of hard work. And back then she was in her prime. After our last powerlifting meet, when I set the world record for bench press for my age, I got injured, stopped lifting, and since then, she just hasn't been able to get into training since then.
This is Johnny Shreve. He's my posing coach, so he helps me fine-tune and tweak the little poses.
And so as you can see, out-angling Johnny Shreve, who's helping me with posing at the time. Johnny does a lot of posing with his clients, coaches other people, giving me some last-minute tips how to make sure your glutes are flexed, getting the best angles, and doing your best to present yourself on stage.
I'm going to do the cardio. I'm going to eat perfect. There's no excuses. I'm not taking 3 days off the gym because I got the flu. Like, we're sick, we're going to the gym. Doesn't matter.
And isn't it funny, back then when you were sick, you could still go to the gym? Now you think you might have been next to someone that may have been sick, perhaps their brother, uncle, sister, and you better quarantine for 10 days. Heavens forbid, sick. My oh mind, how times have changed. Back then, nothing would have stopped me from going to the gym. If I could stand up, I was going to the gym, and oftentimes I couldn't stand up, still went to the gym. Hey, can you drive me to the gym? I don't trust myself. I'm too depleted. Go to train anyway. Not making this shit up. Like, literally, I'm not making it up. I would be so weak. I didn't trust myself to drive myself to the gym. I had to get other people to drive me to the gym because I was scared maybe I'll pass out driving to the gym. I just don't have the energy. That is the amount of suffering I had to do to get into this kind of condition.
So, for example, I coach 48 clients right now. And so the better I do in the competition, the more people will want to hire me.
And bodybuilding, that was not about making money. Only the best IBU pros actually earn a living from doing competitions. It was not about the money. I had no ambition to earn a top placing to make money from competing in the show. It was for the love of competing, not for the plastic trophy, but for the love of entering the show and doing the best that I could do. I had realistic expectations, wanted to make the top 10. Never said, oh, I'm going to go win. Wanted the top 10, realistic. You're not making any money from being in the top 10. But if you compete, do well, people like the way you look, they're more likely to hire you, as if you can get into competition shape yourself, then clearly you must know what you're doing. And for the most part, this is true. If you can coach yourself and look amazing on stage, probably know a thing or two about competing. And so for the last meal, I'm basically stuffing my face, going to bed, almost looking pregnant, thinking, did I overeat? But as I've done in the past, I always absorb this food overnight, and waking up in the next morning, look vascular, much more swollen, better looking muscle. And so that's what I did. And next up, pumping up, getting the oil on, doing the last minute preparations to set foot on stage. And just look how lean Allie is, the face. You can see how gone her face is in comparison today. And we're doing side laterals, pumping up the delts. The wider you can get the delts, the smaller your waist looks, and the more of a V shape you have, that is the look they're looking for on stage.
You look at every single guy and you think every one of them might be able to beat you. Every show, they all look
ridiculous.
And at the pro show, I'm looking at the competition, eyeing people up, and all I can think of, every single person looks at least as good or better. They all look fantastic, amazing. Consider, to get an IFBB Pro card, you have to win your national title. These are all national champions who you're competing against. It's not your local show where people just died for a few months and decide to get up on stage. These are all former champions, the best in their own countries. And so every last one of them has a chance to do extremely well on stage. And so it's the first show that Ali had ever seen. We've been together for multiple years at this point, but I'd never done a competition. And so she's watching me for the first time after doing all this dieting, suffering, actually knows what it's like to be a bodybuilder. And up on stage with 17 other competitors, hoping to make top 10 so that I can do my routine as a pro for the very first time. And you can see walking off stage, John Meadows competing with guys like Mark Dugdale, guys who are in the Mr. Olympia. These guys looking incredible. Also competing against other former champions who competed against me at nationals in the past.
So I didn't make top 7 for sure. I made second call out, had 5 guys, so I'm somewhere in the top 12.
And so obviously we all want to make the first call out, but very difficult to do. The first call out, 7 competitors wasn't in it, meaning I did not place in the top 7. I did, however, make the second call out with 5 other competitors, so clearly in the top 12, but not sure where did I place in that second call out.
Hi, nice to meet you. Greg.
And you're considered not that big, or you're...
I was probably the second or third smallest out of the whole group.
And so meeting Ali's parents for the first time, her mom's thinking, you call this not big? And I'm like, no, I was the second or third smallest guy in the entire competition. IFBB pros are massive. I never had a lot of mass. Remember, I used to compete as a bantamweight. I'm 5'6" tall. And so the fact that I was able to put on enough muscle to actually become a pro, being a guy with smaller-ish genetics, I think I did great. And so it's not all about being the biggest bodybuilder, it's about being the best. The best aesthetics, the best quality muscle tissue with low body fat percentage and good looking muscle that other people would emulate.
The second or third smallest out of the whole group.
Well, all I'm going to say is you're a lot better looking than Hulk Hogan, so...
And so apparently better looking than Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan being 20 years older than me, certainly hope better looking than Hulk Hogan.
One of the most exciting moments of my life to date. I worked so hard for this, I can't wait to get out there.
And come to find out, yes, in fact, I did make the top 10. I get to do my routine. So much work, so many years went into this. You just can't understand unless you've been in my shoes. The amount of sacrifices, dedication, and hard work that I put into this to finally be able to do a routine as an IFBB pro, just can't describe how excited I really was.
So nice.
And probably my best body part that stands out the most, my hamstrings. You can see I'm rubbing up on the hamstrings, trying to draw attention. Wherever your hands go, the eyes of the audience, that's where they're looking. So I'm trying to get them to really notice, hey, check out my hamstrings. I might not have a lot of muscle, but look at the detail. And after a routine like that, it feels like you've been sprinting up a mountain. Trust me, you are exhausted. You're flexing every single muscle in your human body. Everything, top to bottom, head to toe. You are exhausted. And so it takes a while to catch your breath, and also doing so while very dehydrated, extremely thirsty, low amounts of water so that you can see every ounce of definition. And check out the delts on Ali. You're gonna have to do a natty or not on this woman. And you see the definition in the face, how much leaner she was. In comparison to now, she's actually 38% body fat, tested her last week, but she doesn't like working out. Back in the day, I remember she got as low as about 24%. She had striations in the chest and so on, used to love working out, but since then, not so much. And many of these guys, Zane Watson, etc., in the Mr. Olympia, these guys are quality competitors, and so placing in the top 10, it's not that bad. And you're thinking, you only made top 10, you never made top 5. Trust me, top 5, absolutely incredible. These are guys who are going to the Olympia. And so how did I do overall? Place 9. John Meadows made the top 10 as well. Happy to have competed, great competition. And will I compete again?
Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe, maybe not. If I do, I will not be doing cycles. I value my health, not going to abuse PDs anymore. Just do an HRT. And so we'll see. Only time will tell. Perhaps I'll one day enter another competition. And so there you have it. Hope you enjoyed reflecting back 5 years in the past when I did my last major cycle for professional bodybuilding. And since then, I actually competed again. I placed 4th in classic physique, the highest placing I'd ever done. Had less muscle, had downsized to classic, weight cut off 185 pounds, but still had an amazing time. Interested in harder than last time supplements, creatine, you name it? Click the link in the description. Also, giving away a free 20-page training program. Get in the shape of your life. What do you have to lose? What are you waiting for? Click the link in the description. Ending it here. GregDoucette.com for coaching. Greg Doucette, IP Pro. Please check out the bloops. Of course, subscribe. Click the bell button. Comment for the algorithm. Don't forget about the Circle Diet book, the cookbook, the training books, the coaching plans by me and my team, phone consults. And until next time, I am out. Out to go bike race.